Well, hello and welcome to the inspiredpractice.com, the place where you'll find a world of CAs and DCs just like yourselves, making a world of difference. I'm Vicky Kelly.
And I'm Holly Mitchell. Hello.
And so it's a welcome back. It's webinar number 2.
How exciting.
It's very exciting. We had some great feedback from last week and some really very excited practices and people. And I know that, Holly, you were able to, in our time last week, to craft your vision, which we'll talk a little bit about shortly. Our session today is, again, 45 minutes, and today's topic is laying down success pathways. And essentially, in a nutshell, what that means is today we're going to be looking at the how-tos. How can we upgrade, improve, replace,
and close the gap.
And close that gap, exactly right. And so last week we began the conversation for many of you about vision. Some of you already had a vision statement, and all you needed to do was dust it off and remind yourself of the why. Others, it was a new conversation.
And before you get started, Vicky, I just want to welcome our lovely people who have come on board today. Hi, David and Cheryl from Wellington, and they have a new CA, Hannah.
Hey.
Welcome, Hannah. Nice to see you. Also, we've got some people coming in from Aussie. Hi, guys. And Advanced Health. Welcome.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. So,
carry on.
Thank you. Thank you, Holly. You see, teamwork. Teamwork always works miracles. So I was just so excited to get into this today. So let's recap on our vision session last week. So what we have, and Holly was very impressed by my tech capabilities.
Oh,
we now have
no
screens.
idea how impressed I am. So impressed.
I know. She's all over it.
She was teaching me things about PowerPoint that I didn't know.
Now her nose is growing. But anyway. So last week we began, for some of us, the conversation of vision, and certainly through some of our consult calls, what came through was the excitement, and people just felt inspired by merely the thought of a vision greater than themselves, and it was uplifting even for those people that were just beginning their conversation of vision. And we know last week that you were able to craft, Holly, your...
I did.
Yeah.
And I was telling people about it. It was like, it's exciting, and I'm inspired, and it's just awesome. Something to aspire to every day.
It's something to aspire to every day, and it gets us out of bed.
Yes.
Because there's nothing quite like dedicating your day...
Having a reason to live.
Having a reason to live. You've put it perfectly, having a reason to live. And our vision is our reason to live. And it's not always easy. You know, life isn't always a box of fluffy ducks.
And they're so fluffy, especially the babies.
Exactly. However, what we know to be true is that when we have a reason to live, it becomes, and to be of value in other people's lives is an amazing reason to live, and to be able to pay that forward. So if you're beginning that conversation, or you're already a deep entrenched in your conversation around vision, share it with the people around you, because you may just inspire them to also uplift themselves. And certainly within the people that we take care of in our offices every day, to one of the vision statements that in the conversations that we were having, somebody said that they wanted to help the community value better living. And every day in our offices, I know that we have people coming in who are suffering in some form or another, and they've lost sight of that better life, or even the hope of a better life. And particularly as CAs, we get to hold that candle for them until they're willing to pick it up again themselves. And so to be able to have that as part of our conversation in our vision is a really motivating and inspiring way to live our days.
And so have in the back of your mind, and remember that for a lot of people that are coming into the office, you're the highlight of their week. So that's
I love that idea.
To help you along with, choosing a vision or crafting a vision, and thinking about that and aspiring towards that every day, because you're getting people excited. They want to come and see you because they've got something, you've got something that they want.
Exactly. Yeah. And on some level, you will be mentors to them, whether it's around health, whether it's around happiness. You might be their new happiness mentor, because every time they walk through the door, no matter what, you've got a beautiful smile on your face. And so you are the vision of hope for them, even though you may not have realized it until now.
Like the grumpy people that say, "Are you ever not smiling?" They are the best.
They are the best. And isn't it amazing within our offices, talking chiropractically, that those grumpy people, how the happiness within them emerges as their brain and body get reconnected with its brilliance, and that they begin to live the life that they were designed to live. It's amazing how the frown turns upside down and becomes that beautiful smile. So today's about having some intention with our vision, realizing where we are, and then
closing the gap.
Closing that gap. And the way that we close that gap is through our everyday actions. And our everyday actions create our current reality. And that's how we're showing up. And so if we have a vision for ourselves of living a healthier, more abundant life, and the way that we're showing up is by falling out of bed, not getting enough sleep, drinking too much coffee. No. No, Dr. Dave, not us. Then maybe the gap is a little bigger in that health area versus someone who is 8/10 of the way there to living a really healthy life and just needs to make those little tweaks. And today will be about not tossing out everything that you're already doing. It's about celebrating what you're doing that's moving you towards and creating momentum towards your vision.
Refining.
Yes. And maybe starting some new conversations about what's possible and what you need to start to implement to change some things. And what we know to be true, having worked with many thousands of people over the last couple of decades.
Long time.
Let's
not get into that.
Let's not get into that. Is that we all know at least one thing that we could do to move us towards fulfilling our vision. Whether we knew it or not, we all know there's one thing that we could take action on right now that would improve ourselves, our situation, our service, or our life that we don't necessarily do on a regular enough basis.
And it doesn't have to be a big thing.
No, it's little. Momentum, you might like to write this down. Momentum, because you're writing lots of notes, is about taking the very next easiest step. So if the only thing that you can do is take the next easiest step, that is building momentum. And now you have your vision, or at least the beginning of the conversation, you've opened up that energy. You know you can measure whether or not you're moving towards your vision or away from your vision. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be looking at our thoughts, our conversation, our behaviours, and in particular, the routines and habits within our offices that are either closing that gap on our vision and moving us towards that vision, or are keeping us stuck in our current reality, or even worse than that, moving us in the complete opposite direction. Now, an example of that might be if your vision is to create a healthier, more vibrant environment that's natural, and then your reading material is filled with
dirt bike magazines,
or
pharmaceutical crap,
or pharmaceutical ads, then that would be moving you away from not only your current reality probably, but also far from being able to fulfill your vision. So they're little examples that we'll be talking about. And then we have this thing called our knowledge. And you've dedicated and invested your time, energy, and resources in the coming month to increasing your knowledge. Now, knowledge is power. Mantra is a myth. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is only potential power. Knowledge is potential power, and when we integrate that with experience through our actions, so knowledge is for the mind, experience is for the body, and when we can integrate the two, it makes for a really effective human experience. And so these webinars are about you collecting some knowledge and having some interaction, and then your job is to create some experiences through your actions over the coming weeks and months so that you download new behaviours, new routines, new thoughts and conversations about yourself or your situation towards fulfilling that vision, that greater version of yourself. And so, again, congratulations on investing your time, energy and resource into this.
Amazing.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And, you know, the one thing that I often hear people say that I'm time poor. So, you know, I don't have enough time, I'm time poor. What we know is that some people have more money than others. Some people have more, you know, health, expression than others. Some people have more beauty on the outside or even on the inside than others, yet time in a 24-hour day, nobody has more time than anyone else.
True.
We all have 24 hours in a day. What we do with that time, if we're sleeping it away or procrastinating it away, however, nobody is any time richer than anyone else when it comes to our days. Short of if we perhaps pass on to a different time zone. However, it's a really important thing to remember. And the thing about time is you can't get it back. You can't say, I'm going to invest a little bit of time into my future and get that back when I need it later on. There's no guarantee of that. There might be through your health choices, and you might be able to increase your time on this planet. However, there's no guarantee. So making the most of every single moment is really important, and today's about creating the actions and the behaviours and the routines that we can move us closer towards fulfilling our vision, that best version of ourselves, so that we get to the end of our lives and we can truly be proud of the life that we've lived.
Absolutely. And like Vicky said earlier, bridging the gap between, the vision that you have and your current reality, it might be small, like we said, or it could be grand, like the Grand Canyon.
Yes.
But it's the same type of action step to bridge that gap. So it's the next step. It's the smallest action step towards that. That's where you start. So if it's a big gap, that's where you start. If it's a small gap, that's where you start.
That's exactly right.
It's exciting.
And it's really exciting because it now gives you a purpose for the actions and things that you're doing. So your to-do list takes on a whole new level of significance. And I would imagine for you, Holly, even during the week, the actions that you've taken, you've at least thought about how are they contributing. And that's the one question that is a really important distinction to make from now on, is to ask that question, how is this goal or action or thought or behaviour or procedure, how is this moving me closer to fulfilling more of my vision? And if the answer is it's not, then we need to have a new conversation. So just by asking that one question across all areas of your life, and a number of people ask me during the week about, can we create a vision across all areas of our life? The answer is absolutely yes. The other common question that came up is the areas of life. How many areas of life are there? Well, you can develop and craft your own, or I work from 8 areas, and there's anywhere from 5 to 14 areas on a wheel. If you would like me to send those areas through to you, please, I can send you a framework for that. And there's a whole guide. So email me, make a note of that as one of your actions, to email me, and I can send that through to you. So if we were to look, and we talked about 3 Ps in the earlier email, and inviting you to this, and our first really significant thing that we can look at is our preparation. How are we preparing each day, each month, each year, so that we can look at fulfilling our greater vision of ourselves? The number one key to that is how we start our day is how we live our day. So how we start our day is how we live our day. So if you wake up in the morning and you've declared the night before that you're going to get up a lot earlier,
and then you snooze 5 times,
and you hit that snooze button, and then you crawl out of bed
late,
rushed, grumpy,
no breakfast,
coffee. No, Dr. Dave. Coffee on the way to work, which is just smashing your adrenals.
Poor adrenals.
You did teach me well, Dr. Dave. Smashing your adrenals. You get to work. If you're a chiropractor, you might arrive at work 5 minutes after the first person is sitting there in the reception. Your CA is pulling those interesting faces about where have you been, the deer in the headlights eyes.
You're in trouble.
Imagine starting your day like that. And I know that some of you may be able to relate to that. Versus having a morning ritual that you're committed to on a regular basis, at least, even if it was half the time, that enables you to maybe get up earlier.
Or on time.
or at the very least on time. And there's a number of ways you can do that. For those of you who have an alarm clock, and if you're using your mobile phone or any of your devices as an alarm clock, the number one relationship killer is having your mobile phone by your bed. Get it out. That's just as an aside. However, on a side note, move your alarm clock across the other side of the room.
So you have to get up to get it.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
And once you're up, guess what? That's called momentum. You've made that next easiest step. And when you're out of bed, it's sort of like, oh, well, now I guess I can get up and...
You're less likely to hop back into bed.
Yeah, less likely. Never a guarantee, but you're less likely.
Or clocky.
Clocky. We love Clocky. We've actually got a Clocky sitting here as our little timekeeper today. And Clocky is an alarm clock on wheels. And so basically it sits beside your bed, and when the alarm goes off in the morning, it jumps off your side table and runs around the room screaming a hideous scream until you get up.
But the great thing about Clocky is that it's not the screaming hideousness that, you know, because you want to get up and turn it off because it is screaming, but what wakes you up is Clocky going crazy and jumping off the table itself.
Yeah, it's very exciting. It's lovely. At the very least, it's a novelty for the first few days.
It's an investment.
It's an investment. Speaking of investment, there's a prototype out there called Snooze You Lose, which is an alarm clock that is linked to your bank account. And then you can appoint your least favourite charity, and every time, you know, I think you're allowed hit the snooze button once, and then from then on, it basically deducts money out of your account until you get up and do this elaborate deactivation that takes energy and takes your focus.
That's amazing.
And so, yeah, so you could do that. So getting up earlier. Breathing is a really powerful way to start your day and synchronize your heart and create some energy of inspiration for your morning.
And if your time is limited, it doesn't have to be 5 minutes of
3
breathing.
breaths.
It can be
three. 3 breaths makes a change. All of this morning ritual, short of the move, you know, moving your body, could take you less than 5 minutes. However, it sets you up for a great day. And if you're getting up earlier, guess what? You're already well prepared.
And I have to say, this morning I made scrambled eggs with some spinach and avocado, and it took less time to make that than to wait for Vogels to cook.
There you go.
Amazing.
There you go.
It doesn't take longer.
It doesn't take longer. And what we know about getting up earlier, and all of us, most of us at least, would have experienced the feeling of daylight savings, probably on both sides, where you've forgotten to set the clock and so you're now an hour, you've lost an hour, but the other side where you've forgotten to reset the clock. And so you're an hour
extra
hour. You're an hour earlier than you thought. And even if it's getting up 15 minutes earlier, that 15 minutes sleep that you think you should have had, or that 15 minutes snoozing that you think you should have had, is actually energy depleting to your system. You think,
I feel worse.
Correct, you feel worse. You're better off having a 10-minute power nap sometime throughout the day to re-energize yourself. The benefit of getting up earlier, even 15 minutes, far outweighs any snoozing that you think you might need.
Absolutely.
So gratitudes, being grateful for the day. And it might, there are some days where you just get up and go, the only thing I can be grateful for, I'm not grateful for anything. In fact, I just need to be grateful for waking up. Once you begin gratitudes and giving thanks, even just for being alive, for waking up, for being able to dedicate another day to a greater vision.
It's hard to just choose one.
It's hard to just choose one, and you get on a roll, and you'll get really good at this. The other thing is to move your body, and I'm not an exercise physiologist, and I'm certainly not a marathon runner. However, what I know to be true is when I move my body in the morning, even just for 10 minutes, even just to be able to stretch, it makes a difference. It just makes a difference. Live whole food. Have breakfast and make it live and as live and green and yummy as possible. I've gone onto these yummy smoothies at the moment, and they're very exciting. And I know that many of the people who are on the calls are taking up smoothies, and smoothies are a great way. Power posing.
Oh, the power pose.
The power pose. Holly and I do power posing before every webinar.
It feels so good.
It's an amazing way to, one, expand and open your heart. Number two, synchronize yourself and energize yourself. If you're not familiar with power pose, Google it. We're not going to talk about it today. This is just a bit of a broad stroke across it. However, just Google it. Google power pose, particularly the pride pose. And when I say pride pose, think about somebody who's just won the 100 meters Olympic gold. What do? Hands in the air, opening up their chest. That's called the pride pose. That pose will energize you. It adds to your clarity, your confidence. It's amazing. Google power posing. You can do that with your team. You can do that in private, in front of the mirror, reciting your affirmations, which we'll talk about shortly. It's an amazing tool to use to energize yourself.
And if you're that way inclined, you can let out a whoop.
Feels good. You could do that too. Exactly. Your actions list. So we're going to be talking about your highest priority action list shortly. However, preparing before your day begins, planning that before your day begins, is a really important part of being able to get stuff done. Because when you're in your day, you tend to fall back into your old autopilot routines and old habits, good and bad. However, if you're outside in your helicopter in the morning, having the view of your day, saying, what's my priorities today? You have more of a chance of creating your to-do list. Then as you do them, committing to, I'm not going to bed until they're done.
And there's power in the pen. So actually writing it down on a piece of paper with a pen rather than on your iPad or printing it out on the computer or whatever. There is power in writing it down and then crossing it off. Man, it feels good.
You know why it feels good?
Because it's done.
Because it's done. And the science of that is we have all these amazing happy chemicals, happy hormones that flow around our system.
Like how you feel after you've had a really good gym workout.
How you feel after. Endorphins are released by crossing off our to-do lists.
How cool is that?
The great thing about all of these sorts of things is there's always some social scientist in the back of a laboratory who's willing to do research on these types of things. And there was research done around people and their to-do lists, and they were hooked up, and what they found was that, yeah, those neurochemicals, those happy, juicy chemicals of love and bonding and happiness were released when we cross off our to-do list. So at the very least, get your list, write the things that you need to do anyway and you know you're going to achieve, and start crossing them off. It creates an addiction, and you'll get addicted. And those of you who use to-do lists know that it's addictive.
Oh, yeah.
The last one, and this again just needs to take a few seconds, is to imagine and visualize your ideal day, your ideal vision of yourself, something that's more ideal than your current reality. So that's bigger than yourself. That's an improvement. That's building momentum. So just visualizing, and it might be as simple as visualizing, oh, jeepers, I've got a workshop tonight. I would love to see everybody smiling and attentive, or I'd love to know that I'm not going to vomit.
And that people will bring guests.
And people will bring guests. They'll be signing up their families to have their spine and nervous system checked for subluxations, because that then enables you to fulfill and get closer to fulfilling your vision of being an influence in your community, particularly through families, if that's your vision conversation. Now, we've brushed our broad stroke across that and been able to talk about that and begin the conversation. Your job now is to go away and make that list. What is going to be your morning ritual? At least you could choose 2 things off that list and then make your own. However, and it doesn't have to create extra time, but get onto it and do it. The other preparation tool that is really important is how we start our shift is how we live our shift. And one key tool that we can use, and we've got a screenshot here, Holly. I even did the screenshot.
So much talent.
Snaps for me. One of the great things in arriving at your office is, and particularly when you've arrived at the office, you've come from home, you might have been doing a great a morning routine. Coming together at the beginning of the shift as a team is hugely beneficial across all areas of your practice.
You sort of set the bar for the day.
You set the bar for the day. and we're preparing in a really powerful way. This screenshot is a screenshot of a template that we have. If you would like it, email me and I can send it to you so that you can essentially make your own. You don't have to use all of these things. This is the one that we use. And the one thing, it's the one thing that distinguishes us whenever things are a little bit chaotic in our office. This tends to be the thing that where the gap is. And as soon as we turn up the dial on our pre-shift get-togethers, our daily power sheet,
things start changing.
Things start to change. Things start to create a new level of order. And it's amazing what can emerge when you prepare your day in this way. So some of the things that you can include is your vision. And for some of you, it'll be very clear and very articulate and very concise. For others, it will be the beginning of your conversation. It actually doesn't matter. Read it together as a team.
Yes.
Read it together as a team and at least begin that conversation. Open it up and you'll be amazed at what, over the coming month, what becomes available to you in relation to that vision conversation. Your goals, so your people-specific goals, and that might be you're wanting to be a magnet for some new people.
And do make them specific, because it might be, I want 5 new patients, and then that's all you say. But if you actually think about it and say out loud, you know, maybe the type of patient that you want to attract, I want 5 new patients who will stay, pay and refer that are baby boomers or that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. That are professionals, that are families. We'd love to attract 5 new people that are all babies today.
Yeah, absolutely. There's power in it.
There's absolute power in it. And the reality is, and science is now catching up, and Eastern philosophies have been saying this for many thousands of years, what we think about, we bring about. Our thoughts have resonance. Our thoughts have vibrations. And so that includes our pity parties, our stinking thinking, that unchecked, unmanaged internal dialogue, that little voice inside your head. We've all got them. I have multiple voices inside my head. I stalk those voices inside your head for a living. And if you're wondering, do I have a voice inside my head, that's the very voice I'm talking about. So by putting intention out there and creating this preparation time, what that means is that we're able to then at least send the intention out there so that the universe, the gods, the angels, whatever it is we subscribe to out there as an organizing designer, is able to create that for us. Our energy levels.
So out of 10?
Out of 10. So you could do, my energy today out of 10 is 11.
And say, I mean, mine's 11 too, but say mine would be 4 because I've crashed on my way to work.
Yes. And so we're able to...
Or I didn't have breakfast because I snoozed 5 times.
Yes, exactly.
Or I had coffee and I'm on the crash afterwards.
We don't have coffee. So our energy levels are... this is where the sum becomes greater than the whole of the parts. So if I know that Holly's energy level is a 4 because she's had the coffee crash, then...
You're going to send me running around the building.
And I'm an 11. Number 1, I'm going to be empathetic towards that and go, oh, okay, is there anything I can do to help bring your energy up? Or if I'm feeling a little bit sassy on that day,
sassy you say,
I might send Holly for a run around the block or to do some power poses or some laughing therapy just to raise that energy. The other one is our passion. How passionate are we feeling about chiropractic? And given that you've just been having the conversation about your vision, you're going to have already elevated your passion levels.
11 out of 10.
11 out of 10. What about the themes? The themes that you're having throughout, it might be your, back to school checks. It might be a theme that's going on out there in the community.
You might have a talk coming up.
You might have a talk coming up.
Community event.
Community event. All of those themes that sometimes we go, yeah, that'd be a great idea, and we never mention it again. They're the things that you can talk about in your
and it's how you create those conversations then with your practice members.
Exactly.
Rather than talking about the weather.
Rather than talking about the weather, and that's one of the most common through our trainings. The most common thing that comes back is, how do we talk about chiropractic? How do we actually talk about?
And not be awkward.
And not be awkward.
Or bring it out of nowhere.
Or not be scripted.
And put it into general conversation.
Exactly. The other one is our appointment book craft. And what do we mean by appointment book craft, Holly?
We mean like having a look into the day and seeing if there potentially are maybe some roadblocks, or you sort of so that you can be 2 steps ahead the whole shift and preempt things that may happen in those
or
times.
Or if you've got a scan with 2 chiropractors booked both at the same time.
Exactly, or x-rays and scan, and they're in the same room. It's about working ways around that and working out what the best thing is that you can do in those situations.
Before the event happens, before it happens, so that, because once you're in the shift, and for those of you who are working in really busy offices, you know that once you're in that shift, what you're wanting to do is have all of your focus and attention with the people standing right there in front of you. And you don't want to be necessarily thinking about and having to solve a problem while you're in that shift. You can solve potential challenges that are coming up in that pre-shift by saying, this is how we're going to deal with it.
So these are just some examples of, like we talked about the roadblock. So yeah, you could have anything you wanted, but like we said earlier, we can send you the template.
Yes.
With it all on there, and you can craft your own pre-shift huddle and post-shift huddle.
So, and what you'll see at the end there is the post-shift, and the post-shift is, I always think that the pre-shift is to pop the cork,
yeah,
and the post-shift is about the completion. So you're talking about what worked and what didn't. We're also talking about celebrating.
Yeah,
that we're
grateful for today.
Being grateful for today, how we fulfilled our vision, so that you can go home. The miracles that occurred and that we sometimes take for granted in our offices, so that you can complete your day and not take it home with you when you're going home to those special people that you need to be attentive and love in and around you, those significant others that we sometimes can take our stuff home. This gives you the opportunity to do that. So make sure you send that. We can send it out to you. You can use some or all of that. Remember, these sorts of things are not about reinventing the wheel. This next month is about you utilizing Holly's and my collective experience
and
adding value so that you can add value to the people around you. Affirmations. Affirmations are a really powerful way of energizing and acknowledgement. So it's acknowledgements for the day, for the time. If you want affirmations, we can send you those affirmations through.
We have a cool list.
We have an absolutely cool list,
and especially
cool
if the affirmations aren't really your thing, there are some really good ones that are...
Well, actually, you know, Holly, affirmations are everybody's thing.
Haha.
They're everybody's things, and we have affirmations that go on constantly in our internal dialogue every single day.
That is cool.
They're just not always positive and affirming about ourselves.
Yes.
They can be less than that. And some of the things that we think and affirm to ourselves every day, we wouldn't necessarily think about our worst enemy. So we do have affirmations whether we like them or not. The affirmations that you can craft and design as a direct result of helping you to move towards your vision are the ones that we can send you. So if you want some templates, let us know. And of course, our gratitude is always great to be grateful for the team around you, and chiropractors, it's always especially wonderful to be grateful for your CAs, as CAs it is to be for your chiropractors, because sometimes we forget to be grateful for each other's presence in our lives.
Absolutely.
Our next P is our procedures, and our procedures are our doings. And so we all have procedures in our office. Some of them are well documented and others of them aren't. And the procedures are what keep us in our current reality, whatever that is. And now if we're beginning the conversation of a new vision, one of the things that we need to do when we're moving forward and wanting to create momentum is to do a little bit of a footprint audit. And so that's a procedural audit.
So that could be, you could have a manual that you haven't seen for 20 years that needs to have the dust wiped off and brought out again. It could be that you don't have a manual and you want to start making one, or you don't really know where to start, so that you can start developing some great procedures around what is most important to you.
So you've got procedures in your office already, whether they're written down, documented, recorded or not. So your first step in this is to do a little bit of an audit, and that's across every department in from your patient care through to your administration, your financial policies, your marketing, all of those things that go on within your offices.
And it doesn't have to be done in one day. You could look at 2 procedures a week and refine those together as a team and develop them
exactly.
together.
Your very first your very first brainstorm, and it's great to brainstorm as a team, have a scribe, have someone doing a bit of a cloud, or your most creative person is always a great scribe because they use colours and clouds, and Holly is always our scribe in our brainstorming because they're always so beautifully highlighted and colourful. And colour's great for the brain. The brain loves colour and gets excited about colour. So your very first action could be, let's brainstorm and just make a list of all of the procedures in our office. So from our scripts to our paperwork to reading material, and paperwork's a big one. Paperwork, the number of offices that I go into that the paperwork has typos, or it's been photocopied so many times that it's barely legible.
That is terrible.
It is terrible, and yet I know in our office sometimes that can occur because you just get really busy. And so it's when you do an audit, and it's great to do one at least annually, when you do an audit, it gives you an opportunity to step outside and look at what needs to change so that you can fulfill and express more of your ideal vision. It might be your reading material. We spoke a little bit about that earlier. Your first 3 visits, that procedure, if you can highlight exclamation mark, put nice clouds and colours around those first 3 visits procedures, doing an audit on that. Those first 3 visits are the key to the longevity, the compliance, the healing exchange.
The people that stay, pay and refer.
That stay, pay and refer, how and at what level they become your greatest raving fans. Those first 3 visits, it's sort of that you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. That's going to happen in those first 3 visits. Your regular visit procedure, so that's another one. Your patient education process, or if you even have one. What about your training and development procedure? Do you have a framework around that? So brainstorming all of those, and if you have a procedures manual already, you're just going to have to whip that out and use that. And then we're running these procedures for our audit across the 4 R's. The 4 R's are, if we love our procedure and we're asking that key question, how is this procedure moving us closer towards
our vision,
fulfilling more of our vision? And if it is, you're rejoicing.
Woohoo!
And you keep it.
It works.
Remember we said it's not about tossing everything out and starting again. There are things that are working, we keep them. It might just be that we need to turn the dial up on it, to revisit it, to refine it a little. So it might just be around some language, it might be around the triage. We might just need some more training on it.
A tweak.
A tweak.
Not a tweet.
I love it. A tweak.
A tweak, not a tweet.
No. And then it might be that, oh my goodness, we need to replace it completely. We need to throw it out.
Less than amazing.
Less than amazing. You might ask
congruent.
the question, how is this action, this procedure, how is this procedure supporting me fulfilling the vision that I have for the practice as a whole?
And if it's not, replace it.
Replace it. Completely replace it. And you said, okay, but there's only 3 R's there. What about the 4th? The 4th R is ring Holly. Why are we ringing Holly?
You can ring me for anything, but particularly if there's some things that you're not really sure where to start, or if it's something like marketing and you
might not have a marketing procedure.
Well, exactly. So and say, for example, if your vision is you want to shift the community's consciousness away from sickness and disease towards health and wellness, but you're not doing anything in the community and you have no idea where to start, ring me.
Ring Holly. Because remember, it's not about reinventing the wheel. You have our absolute love, attention to you in the next month. Squeeze us. Squeeze us until we squeal with delight.
And if it's something maybe to do with your CAs, your chiropractors, or it's something that you'd love to change that you're potentially getting resistance through, you could ring Vicky.
Oh, gee, thanks. Send the resistance to me.
And I mean that with all the love, of course.
Yes. We are the revolution. So yes, utilize us in any way over the coming month. You've invested your time, energy, and resources into your development this month, and we're totally dedicated to your development and you getting the most out of this process. So if there's anything across your audit that you think, as Holly said, I just don't know where to begin, give us a call, pick up the phone, send us an email and say, hey, please help. Put up the red flag, please. We surrender. We need your help. We would love to help you in any way we can. And it's not about becoming a clone of any procedures or any ideas that philosophically we think we have. It's about what's your greatest vision for yourself, and then there'll be a number of ways to get there. And so please don't think that it's only going to be one way. We have collectively many years of experience.
Many years.
Working with many different offices, and so if one way isn't working for you, there's always another way.
Yeah.
There's always a third option. And then the final one is retrain, retrain, retrain. So if you're rejoicing, that's fantastic. Keep those procedures and keep doing them, and pat yourselves on the back. Snaps for you. If you're refining, it might just be some little language tweaks, some little procedural tweaks. It might be that you just need to get up your yes I did checklists and retrain with those. If you're replacing them, that's going to take some more training and development and practice, because you don't want to be practicing on the people that you're serving. No. You want to be rehearsing so that by the time it's game day,
wow factor.
There's the wow factor.
Boomtown.
It's boomtown. I love it. And then lastly and most significantly, is recording your procedures. If you already have a procedures manual, great. You're just revisiting, refining, and rejoicing in that. If you've never had a procedures manual, at least begin to start that conversation and start that list, because it's a really important way of being able to reproduce, create consistency and congruency within your practice. Even more than that, we know that we have staff members that come and go at different times. If you've got a living, breathing version of your procedures, then you're able to really quickly and easily train another team member to take up the role, and then hiring your team and training your team becomes less stressful, because
and it doesn't have to be
stressful.
350 pages.
No, not at all. It can be in bullet points. It can be just checklists. So get your team together, appoint one person for each area, so somebody to do patient procedures, somebody to do scripting, somebody to do marketing, somebody to do your administration side of your procedures manual. A great little techie tool, because now I'm, Techie Vicky they call me, is this little free plug-in app thing called Trello. Trello is amazing. So that would be a Ring Holly moment. If you would love Trello, Trello is basically an online live mothership cloud, personalized cloud that you can update your documents in real time, so that you haven't got drafts of documents and proofs of documents being emailed all over the place and nobody really knows which is the most current and latest one.
And you can download it as an app. They've got an app on either iPhone or iPad, and maybe Android, I'm not sure, but definitely easy to use, and you can have your team members in there and you can assign them to the different tasks that you want them to do. So, and it's very simple, very cool. Okay, so Trello is a Ring Holly moment. Holly is amazing with those techie type things, and she will very easily guide you through using Trello. She did for me, and yep, even I use it, and it's easy. It's essentially a personalized to-do list that you can have online and available to everyone, and you get notifications and reminders, and it's like a mini version of a project manager. Yeah. So it's very cool, which you can use to record. Our other P, as we're racing through this at breaknecking pace, is PTC. What's PTC, Holly? Present time consciousness. So this is mindfulness, paying attention, the here and now in the moment. So this is your, a great example. This is the bomb. Yes, a great example of PTC is I've just started at a new office, and every time I answer the phone I need to have PTC, because I think about it before I actually say it out loud. I'm saying my old office name in my head before I say my new office out loud. And I only have once slipped up, and it's because someone asked me a question at the time I answered the phone and I wasn't thinking, but that's what present time consciousness is.
Present time consciousness is essentially paying attention to the task at hand, paying attention to the moment, and we're not wired to pay attention. That's the whole thing. We're not naturally wired to pay attention. We're naturally wired for distraction, because for us to survive as human beings, we needed to pay attention we needed to be able to scan the environment for predators. And predators don't come in the form of lions and things that are going to eat us anymore. They come in the form of all of the distractions out there in the world, the stuff. And so it's all of the preparation things that you've done are a great way to strengthen your capacity for being present with your people.
And your people are going to notice if you are PTC with them,
and you're
or if
going
you're
to
not.
notice, you know, you're going to notice whether you're on autopilot, you know, that mindless just running the motions. Things in our office, and particularly for experienced CAs, come second nature. You know, they become second nature. And so there's a number of cornerstones. There's 3 cornerstones to being mindful or paying attention. They're our breath. We get to take our breath everywhere. They're the pause, and they're noticing. And when we notice things, it's sort of like if you were to walk upstairs, you know, you walk up the steps. Did you walk up those steps? Yes, I walked up those steps, but how many steps were there? That's the noticing. That's the distinction between paying attention and just stomping up the steps.
Yeah.
So there's 3 cornerstones. The healing benefits of being mindfulness, not only for the practitioner, but for the patient, are really well documented, and we can get our people paying attention in their visit experience, because it might be the only time they pay attention all day.
Yeah.
So that's maybe through getting them to unplug themselves from their devices.
Turn off their cell phone.
Just for a few minutes.
And lie down before their adjustments.
To lie down and to take notice of their breath.
Without
Even if the only thing they do is notice.
They don't have to breathe through their cell phone.
No, exactly. They don't have to. You don't even have to change your breath. Simply by noticing your breath brings your attention back to the moment. So there's a number of ways. If you want some great ways of you know, I call them mental sit-ups. And every time we can pay attention, every time we bring ourselves back for mindfulness, we're actually strengthening our mental muscle and strengthening our capacity to pay better attention in the future.
Like using someone's name.
Using someone's name. That has twice or 3 times. That has multiple benefits. The multiple benefits of that is every time you use someone's name, number one, you're getting to remember their name more effectively for those of us who are less than fabulous at remembering names. Number 2, every time you mention someone's name, it creates a little firing of what's called mirror neurons, and a particular strain of mirror neurons in our brains called the Gandhi neurons, and they're the bonding neurons. And so you're building rapport naturally with people by using their name. Creating novelty in your day through your practice, through your themes, through the language that you are using.
Having fun. Having
fun, being playful, also creates a strengthening in our capacity for paying attention. Paying attention and PTC is a really important one when it comes to the exchange in healing consciousness for our people. So if you want some more on that, let me know. You can actually go onto my website, vickykelly.com, and there's a video that will help you with that as well. Perfect. So we've come to the end of our session today, and I hope that right at this point your cells are smiling just like the cells of this beautiful cross-section of a little plant. For those of you who are interested, these are the water channels that run through a plant, and if you look at them, they look like they're smiling. And so we trust that your cells are smiling as a result of sharing some time with us today. And like always, we want to know what's the single biggest insight from this webinar. And in addition, one action that you are committing and promise to take right now.
And I will be writing them down.
And she'll be writing them down. Okay, here they come.
So with your name beside them.
So we've got morning routine, to improve our morning routine.
Awesome.
To change our language. That's great. Changing and shifting your language is a really important one. To start a procedures manual. Great. First of all, doing your procedures audit, of course.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Fabulous.
So thank you again, team. You have been amazing. Thanks for joining us on our Inspired Practice Kickstart webinar number 2.
Thank you, thank you.
A reminder that this and all our sessions are available on our membership site, and of course we'll be sending the recording of this for you to listen, to re-listen and use forevermore as a training and development tool for your team. And we'll be sending you that link in the next couple of days. So thanks for being part of today's session. We look forward to connecting again next week, which will be Thursday the 20th at 10 a.m. And of course, in the meantime, if you have any questions that need addressing, ring Holly or contact us via email. We're always happy to help you out. As we mentioned, we're here for the next month. Squeeze us until we squeal with delight.
Yes.
We have a lot of experience to be able to offer you so that you're not having to reinvent the wheel. You're not on your own. This is not an island. We're here to walk with you, laugh with you, cry with you if that's necessary.
Rejoice with you.
Rejoice with you to move you towards fulfilling more of
your vision.
Your vision. So until next time, may you expand your heart towards others and share your special, amazing gift to benefit as many lives as possible.
Thank you for being here today.
You're amazing.
Lots of love.